Imagine walking into a crowded restaurant on a rainy Tuesday night in Chicago, your feet aching from a double shift, your smile still genuine even when customers barely look you in the eye. Then picture a woman in designer heels grabbing the front of your uniform and ripping it open in front of everyone, laughing while she calls you trash. That moment could break anyone. But what if the very person she thought was nothing turned out to hold the power to change everything? If this story touches your heart the way it touched mine, please take a second to subscribe to Whispers of Heart 0.2. Hit that like button and leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. Your support keeps these stories of real human kindness alive. The night started like any other for 24-year-old Maya Thompson. She had been waiting tables at the elegant Lakeside Grill for almost 2 years, saving every tip she could toward night classes and business. The restaurant sat on the edge of the city, popular with executives who wanted quiet dinners after long days. Maya knew most of the regulars by name. She remembered who liked their steak medium rare and who needed an extra napkin for the kids. Kindness was simply how she moved through the world. She never expected anything back for it. That evening, a reservation for 2 came in under the name of Richard Hale, the newly appointed CEO of a major tech firm downtown. He arrived with his girlfriend, Vanessa, a woman who carried herself like the room belonged to her. Vanessa's dress cost more than Maya earned in 3 months. From the moment they sat down, Vanessa's tone was sharp. She sent the first glass of wine back twice. She complained the lighting was too dim. When Maya gently offered the evening specials, Vanessa cut her off mid-sentence and ordered without looking up. Maya stayed polite. She brought the meals exactly as requested, refilled waters without being asked, and even noticed Vanessa's phone sliding toward the edge of the table and quietly slid it back to safety. Nothing seemed to please the woman. Halfway through the main course, Vanessa suddenly stood, her voice rising so the nearby tables could hear. "This steak is cold. You people are useless." Maya apologized and offered to replace it immediately. Vanessa's face twisted. In one quick motion, she reached across the table, grabbed the front of Maya's black uniform dress, and yanked hard. The fabric tore from the neckline down past the waist, exposing Maya's simple white undershirt and leaving her standing there, arms crossed over her chest, while gasps filled the dining room. Vanessa stepped back and laughed. "There. Now you look like the cheap help you are. Maybe next time you'll learn to do your job." Richard Hale looked uncomfortable, but said nothing. He didn't stand up. He didn't tell Vanessa to stop. He simply stared at his plate. The manager rushed over, face pale, already apologizing to the couple and trying to usher Maya toward the kitchen. Customers averted their eyes. A few pulled out phones. Maya felt the heat of shame climb her neck, but she kept her chin steady. She had faced worse nights when her mother was sick and the rent was late. She would not cry in front of these people. In the back hallway, the manager handed her a spare jacket and whispered that she should go home for the night. Maya nodded, gathered her things, and stepped out into the cold rain without another word. She walked the 6 blocks to the bus stop with the torn dress hidden under the jacket, the city lights smeared by water on her cheeks that she told herself were only rain. What Maya did not know was that one of the quiet men seated 2 tables away had recorded the entire scene on his phone. That man was Elias Voss, the reclusive billionaire who actually owned the Lakeside Grill and half a dozen other restaurants across the Midwest. He had come in that night simply to check on the new menu. He had watched Maya all evening. The way she spoke gently to an elderly couple celebrating their anniversary. The way she carried a free dessert to a young family whose toddler had spilled juice. The way she still smiled after Vanessa's first rude remarks. When the dress ripped, Elias felt something cold settle in his chest. He did not confront anyone in the restaurant. Instead, he waited until the next morning. By 9 o'clock, Richard Hale was sitting in Elias's private office downtown, pale and sweating. Vanessa sat beside him, still wearing yesterday's confidence. Elias played the video without comment. The sound of fabric tearing filled the quiet room. When it ended, he looked at Richard. "You are the CEO of a company I invested heavily in. You represent my name every time you walk into a public place. Last night you allowed a young woman who works for me to be publicly humiliated. You said nothing." Richard started to explain. Elias raised one hand. "I am not interested in excuses. I am interested in character. That waitress has worked for my restaurant for 2 years. She has never once been written up. Customers write letters about her. She is the reason some of them keep coming back. You and your companion treated her like she was disposable. Vanessa tried to speak. She was just a waitress. It was a dress. She can buy another one. Elias's voice stayed even. That just a waitress is the reason I still believe people can be decent in this city. And that dress was the only uniform she owned. She is putting herself through school one shift at a time. You tore more than fabric last night. He stood. Effective immediately. Richard, your position is under review. Vanessa, you are no longer welcome in any of my properties. Both of you will write formal apologies. And you will pay for a replacement uniform and any medical or counseling costs Maya may need. If I hear one more word of disrespect toward the people who keep my businesses running, the review will become a termination. Richard left the office looking smaller than when he entered. Vanessa followed in silence. That afternoon, Elias called the restaurant manager and asked for Maya's contact information. He did not send a company letter. He drove to her small apartment building himself. When Maya opened the door in jeans and an old sweater, eyes still tired, he introduced himself simply as the owner of the Lakeside Grill. He held out a new uniform, carefully folded, and a sealed envelope. I saw what happened, he said. I am sorry it took until this morning for someone to make it right. No one who works for me should ever be treated that way. Maya stared at the uniform, then at the envelope. Inside was a check covering the cost of several new dresses, plus a note offering her a full scholarship for the business program she had been saving toward, paid directly by one of Elias's education foundations. She tried to hand the check back. I can't accept this. I was just doing my job. Elias shook his head. You were doing more than your job. You were treating people with dignity when they gave you none in return. That kind of quiet strength is rare. I would rather invest in it than in another quarter of profits. Maya stood in the doorway for a long moment, the rain from the night before still dripping from the eaves above them. She finally nodded, voice soft. Thank you. Not just for the money. For seeing me. Word of the incident never made the news. Elias preferred it that way. Richard Hale kept his title, but lost the automatic respect of his staff. Vanessa disappeared from the city's social pages. Maya returned to work the following week in the new uniform, and something in the restaurant felt lighter. Servers stood a little taller. Customers seemed more careful with their words. The elderly couple she had once helped started tipping everyone a little more. Small changes, almost invisible, yet they added up. Months later, Maya graduated with her business degree. Elias attended the ceremony quietly from the back row. When she walked across the stage, he clapped once, hard, then left before the crowd could notice. She never forgot the night her dress was ripped, but she also never forgot the morning a stranger knocked on her door and reminded her that kindness still mattered to someone with power. In a world that often rewards the loudest voice and the sharpest tongue, it is easy to believe that gentleness is weakness. Maya's story proves the opposite. Kindness does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like refilling a water glass without being asked, or sliding a phone back from the edge of a table, or simply refusing to return cruelty with more cruelty. And sometimes, when the universe is paying attention, that quiet choice reaches farther than anyone expects. So the next time you are tired, overlooked, or treated as less than you are, remember the waitress in the torn dress. Keep your shoulders straight. Keep your heart open. You never know who is watching, and you never know how far one act of decency can travel. Spread kindness the way Maya did, steadily, without waiting for applause, and watch how the world slowly softens around you.